The bottom line, all this adds up to say that the time for HTML5 video is now. HTML5 support is rapidly growing. Many of your most valuable users are HTML5 only. And importantly, many of the early HTML5 video challenges are largely solved. And it's companies like Kaltura, but there's certainly other companies as well who are working on similar solutions that have solved these challenges. The challenges include the fact that differing platforms have different capabilities, and Michael will talk about the specifics about this a little bit later on. The codec wars, which if you're deeply involved with the HTML5 community, you're deeply knowledgeable about. If you're not, you're probably not particularly knowledgeable about. Kaltura makes it easy not to worry about it. The existence of a unified UI across Flash and HTML5 dramatically reduces the development time required to be able to deploy on both of these platforms. This is a key part of the Kaltura platform, this unified UI, and Michael will speak about it in more detail shortly. And finally, unified integration strategies. The need to integrate the video player with other functionality either on the page or off the page, whether that's interactive elements on the page, companion ads, or offsite analytics. Being able to integrate simultaneously on the HTML5 and the Flash side, again, reduces the challenges of using HTML5. And again, that's a focus of Kaltura's efforts. So now I want to just drill in a little bit on what are the remaining differences and similarities between the HTML5 and the Flash experience. Again, Michael will go into this in quite a bit more detail from a technical perspective shortly, but this is just from the business perspective at a high level what you can expect from HTML5 video today. First of all, a unified UI language enables a Flash-like user experience. The screenshot here is from a Disney player that we're working on, and this is the HTML5 version of the player. I would have put the Flash version of the player up here as well, but it actually looks exactly the same. There's a scrollable position locator. There's a volume. There's a full screen button. There's overlays, timed overlays with text, etc. All the typical features you're used to from Flash are available, including sophisticated ad support with pre-rolls, mid-rolls, companion ads, closed captions in multiple languages that are selectable, multiple bit rates that are selectable. These things are difficult to do with just a out-of-the-box video tag, but Kaltura makes it very easy to deploy these with a single unified UI. The exceptions worth noting to look and feel are true full screen. That is to say, actually getting rid of all the browser Chrome and running the video in a complete frame, full frame. That is, in current nightlies of the WebKit and Firefox browsers, it's not typically available today, although you can make it nearly full screen with a little bit of Chrome around it. And DRM, which I'll speak to momentarily. For SEO, there are actually advantages to HTML5 versus Flash. The video tag is easily parsed by search engines, Facebook, etc. Poster and title attributes on the video tag allow better definition of the references that appear in search engines. And we may see video sitemaps becoming less and less relevant to video SEO. Content protection, as I mentioned, DRM is the main caveat for using HTML5 video. Strong DRM on HTML5 is still far off. Michael can speak to a couple of the details around that, but there are both technological and, I would say, institutional or political challenges to having any strong DRM on HTML5. This does create the dilemma that, as I pointed out earlier, a large and growing proportion of your audience is HTML5 only. So from a strategic perspective, I think you have to think long and hard about exactly how much protection you really need. Strong DRM, that is to say, a lockdown player, is certainly required for a subset of use cases, notably for very high-value premium content in early release windows. That's not going to go away. But when you're looking a couple of notches down on the value chain or later in the release window series, there are a lot of alternative content protection mechanisms that are available on HTML5 that are deserving of your attention and may be sufficient for your needs. Those alternative means include scrambling, which includes scrambling of the URL. We can also provide token authentication, which validates the individual user, geo-blocking, which prevents any download outside of specific geographic areas, and chunking of the content. The combination of these multiple DRM strategies may be sufficient for most cases that don't involve the most premium video. Native apps, of course, can provide customized DRM alternatives within the context of a custom mobile app. So for that very high value content, you should be employing an app strategy for your mobile users.